Today, I'm going to show you how to preserve eggs at room temperature for 6 months or longer. Welcome to my tiny kitchen in my tiny cabin. Well, my cabin is off-grid, which means I don't have electricity or plumbing or running water. So sometimes it's a little bit hard to keep things fresh. So I have to rely on my 12-volt car refrigerator, which has limited space, or find a way to preserve food for use at the cabin. Today we're going to be doing something that's commonly referred to as liming eggs. And some people call it water glassing, but technically I think water glassing uses a different substance than lime. So for today's purposes, we're going to call this liming eggs. The only thing that we need is good farm fresh eggs, pickling lime, a quart of water, and a spoon to stir. Let's get started. As most of you know, store-bought eggs are washed. And what that means is when a chicken lays an egg, there is a natural protective coating on the egg called a bloom. And the bloom is what helps to preserve and protect the egg. And it helps form a barrier to prevent oxygen from permeating the shell. Well, when you buy eggs at the supermarket, they are already washed just because nobody wants to open up a pack of eggs and find some chicken manure or sawdust or something on their eggs. So they do wash the eggs that are sold commercially in the store. And what that does is it removes that bloom, and that's why you have a much lower shelf life and have to keep your eggs in the refrigerator. Farm fresh eggs that have never been washed are perfectly safe to sit out on your counter for weeks. But I want these eggs to last longer than a week, so I'm going to use the process called liming eggs. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my eggs and I'm just going to do a visual inspection of them. You don't want them washed, but you don't want any major pieces of chicken manure or feathers stuck to them or major dirt. You still want clean eggs even though they're not washed clean. But I just want to do a quick visual inspection. And the other thing I want is any eggs that are cracked, do not use for this process, because any cracks in an egg can be a break in that natural barrier and it can allow spoilage and liquids to permeate in and out. So all of these look pretty good. I don't see any major issues except for with the one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place my eggs in this jar. I just saw something on this egg that I missed the first time. A little bit of dirt right there. Now that won't come off, so we're going to skip that egg. Now, granted, this wide mouth jar is not the perfect vessel for this, but sometimes, you know, you use what you have. Clearly, I'm going to have to take a spoon and get these eggs out when I'm ready to use them. So why would you want to preserve these eggs, you ask? Well, number one, chickens generally lay more eggs during the spring, April through June-ish. And during the winter, they will really slow down production. Like I said, this is not the perfect jar for doing this, but it's what I had on hand, so I just want to do a double check and make sure that I didn't crack any of those eggs when I put them in here. So now that we have our eggs in a jar, we're going to take 1 quart of water. And if you can, use spring water, fresh water, maybe not tap water that has chlorine in it. And for every quart of water, we're going to use 1 ounce of pickling lime. Now, if you don't happen to have a scale, I measured it out for you. So I weighed this batch, and this is 1 ounce of pickling lime. And I don't know if you can see on this little bag, but it is just a hair under a 1/4 cup. So if you don't have a scale, about a 1/4 cup of pickling lime to 1 quart of water would be the ratio of the solution that you want. Just going to mix this up. Good. That's exactly what it's supposed to look like. Then we're just going to pour our solution in. And you want your eggs to be covered. over time, the lime will start to precipitate out and sink to the bottom, and this water will become more clear. And that's natural. That's what's supposed to happen. There you go. Now these eggs can sit out on my counter for 6 months or longer. Every time I come up to the tiny cabin when I don't have electricity or when refrigerator space is at a premium, I can just dig in here, get a fresh egg, and use it like I would normally. So not only is this good for off-grid scenarios where electricity or refrigeration is a commodity, but also just to preserve the excess glut of your chickens when they're laying very heavy in the spring and summer, so that you have farm fresh eggs all winter long. All right, now that's done. Now it's back to work outside. One of you suggested that I try some clothing pre-soaked with permethrin. So I happened to pick up this shirt for $17 at my local Fleet Farm, which is like your farm and home store. So we're going to give it a shot. It's supposed to protect against ticks and mosquitoes. Those are the two that I'm concerned about. I'm going to give it a shot today. That was a good tip. Thanks for the comment. It's been so dry that I haven't had a lot of water extra for watering my plants. I thought I'd come down to the lake and bring some water back with me. Just using my Ryobi pump that runs off of my tool batteries. What? What? My plan for these cayennes is I thought this would be a great year to try. I've always wanted to try to make my own hot sauce by fermenting peppers, and I thought, well, since I don't have a lot of stuff dedicated to these boxes this year, I thought now would be a good time to give it a shot. Now that I got the water out of the lake just in time, we should be able to give this a nice watering. The squirrels were digging up my onions, little buggers. Ribby, get out of the garden. River's digging up the boxes. Doggone him. Doggone him. Little goofball. This week's video might be a little short. I'm working on a fairly intensive project that I was hoping to have in this video, but as usual, things aren't going as planned, so it's going to have to wait for a different video, I think. Trey's little pepper patch. So in the front are all cayennes, in the middle are all jalapenos, and one serrano. The back row is the danger zone. We've got some Carolina Reaper, some ahi, which I don't think is super hot, and the third one was Trinidad Scorpion, maybe? I don't remember, but it's one of the hot ones. I turned my back for 1 minute planting the peppers, and I turn around and this is what I see. River, can you get out of the garden, please? Come on, get out of the garden. Thank you. Water in, now water out. venison liver and onions, and fried potatoes. Let's eat. Like the end of the line. Well, after that failed well debacle, I decided I needed to get out in the woods just to get away from the project for a while. So I decided that it would be a good project today for River and I to try to bushwhack into this secret lake and take a look at it and see if it would be worth trying to fish, or basically just to see what is there. So that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to bring you guys along, and if there's anything interesting, I will be sure to share it with you. This area was logged over about 2 years ago, so I think we're towards the end of the logging area, so hopefully there won't be as much deadfall to climb through. Don't know what to expect. I've never been out in this part of the woods before. Should be fun or something. Looks like we'll have some blueberries in a few more weeks, and some bunch berries. Little white flowers of the bunch berries. So dry. Well, we got a little blue flag. Looks like a little wild strawberry. Not quite ripe yet. It is just solid wild raspberries out here. Well, solid raspberries and tanglefoot. The vines that grab you. Whoa! Whoa, whoa, whoa! Okay, the problem is you can't see the deadfall. Are you doing okay there, bud? Trying to knock this down for River, but it's really hard going. Coming? And just like that, we're out of the logging area. And look how nice the woods are for walking. It is so humid out today though, I gotta go nice and slow for River Dog. Well, he's moving right along. He acts like he knows where we're going, but he doesn't, because we've never been here before. Nice little cedar grove in here. Lots of sphagnum moss. Oh, what do we got here? Look at that. I think that is a showy lady slipper. I think that's the first one I have ever found in the wild. It's like a different little world in here in this old bog area. It's like there's a few of those lady slippers blooming. You know, I think all of these plants right here may be the lady slipper plants. Sure enough, look at that. That's what they are. They're all over in here. I'm gonna have to mark this spot. This, I bet, would be really neat when they're in full bloom. These cleavers here, most people hate them because they stick to your clothes. They cleave to it. But less people know that this is a wild edible. You can cook it like spinach and eat it. Oh, he's gonna smell good. There's supposed to be a lake up here, but I don't know, it might be more of a slough. It might be more of a bog. Black tamarack, that's not a good sign. Oh, I can see water, I think. Calla lily. Yeah, it's pretty wet in here. Okay, well this is just cool. Pure sphagnum, tons of Labrador tea, black spruce, your stereotypical peat bog land. And there's the water. Wonder when the last time is that somebody came to this lake. There's not any property, there's not any houses on this lake. There are no structures, and there's this little chunk of private land. And other than that, it's all national forest. Oh, this is a pretty little lake. How deep is it though? Can we get to it? Or is it going to be 10 feet off the shore? Sometimes with these bogs, you got to be real careful. They can have some floating edges. And you can get to the end and like right there. Careful, Ricky. Careful, 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 careful. You can swim. You can get to it. Saloon out there. Huh. Interesting. By golly, I think that is cranberry. Oh no, this is cranberry. This is cranberry. Now I recognize. This is what I recognize as cranberry. But I wonder if all of this is cranberry. You can see. Yeah, I think it is. River, get your butt out of here. I'm trying to film. I'm trying to make a movie, River. I'm trying to pay the rent. Now you got your tail in my face? Definitely cranberry. For sure cranberry. Nice, 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 nice. Here's a better look at those carnivorous pitcher plants. So normally there's water filled in these voids and insects get drawn in there and they drown and then they get dissolved by the acid of the plant. It's kind of bear country in here though. That's for sure. Yep, got to be careful in the bogs. It looks like dry land. Next thing you know, you're up to your waist. See how that's all floating bog? I don't know if you can even see. I just want to get out of here without going in over my head. Oh, that water feels good though. Wow, that water feels good. All right, Ruby, let's make some tracks, huh? GoPro's dying, phone's dying. We better get out of here before we get stuck without directions. Which way is the sun going? Sun is up there, so as long as we keep the sun on our right side, we should be golden. I promised River I would take him to swim. Well, he didn't think the bog was good enough water for swimming. Now, to be honest, he wanted to swim, but it was such a drop off from the moss to the muddy water that I figured I'd drive down the road and take him to something a little cleaner. There you go. There you go, buddy. Can you bring the stick? Can you fetch the stick? You can't throw it if you don't bring it in to me. Attaboy. Give me the stick. Fetch the stick. You're a horrible retriever. You're a horrible retriever. Give me that stick. I can't reach it. Ugh. Come on. Really? How can I throw it if you don't bring it on? What did you just pull off the bottom of the lake? Oh, what did you just do? What did you get there? Oh, River. You silly dog. I was sitting on the bank and River came up and walked behind me. Do I look a little wet? Yeah, he shook all over me. Dog. Ugh. These two rocks on the side of the driveway have been a pain in my butt ever since we put the cabin in. They get in the way for blowing snow, they get in the way for mowing, they get in the way for driving in and making a wide corner to turn around. So today, we're going to try to do something about them, or at least one of them. That one might be a little too big, but the small one, we should be able to get rid of that. These rocks are always like icebergs. They're always so much bigger under the dirt than when they look from the surface. Hey, maybe we'll hit some water when we're digging. Too soon, Terry. Too soon. All right, there's one. No idea what I'm going to do with that. Well, this one is probably about as big as the four-wheeler, but let's give it a shot. Well, clearly this one is not going to be movable by hand, and I ain't going to be able to dig it out. Well, it didn't take me long to figure out I was in over my head on this one. So we're just going to cover that one back up and pretend we never saw it. Maybe one day if I ever get a bobcat in here or something, we can deal with it then. Until then, we're just going to have to keep on mowing around it. There. You can hardly see it. It's like it was never even there. Oh my gosh, that's dry. Wow. I had planted 2 currant bushes out in the woods, oh, probably 2 years ago. And of course it was so shaded in there that they never really took off. So I thought, well, let's give it a try out here. Although I'm not sure if they love acidic soil. Ouch! Something bit me. I'm not sure what that was. He's in the bucket now, whatever it was. I think it was an ant. You know what? This might be the blackberry, actually. No, that's currant. It's currant. I had a blackberry. I had a grape, a blackberry, and these 2 currant bushes that I planted out in the woods at one point. And all right, let's get some water. Looks like some of my chamomile flowers are ready to go. If you've never used chamomile for tea, if you look at this one here, do you see how the petals are at a 90-degree angle to the cone? That's perfect, and you just pop that flower off like this and put it in your bucket. When the flowers start to droop like this, that's a little bit past prime, and it's not going to have as much flavor as the ones that are perfect, but we're going to go ahead and take those anyway just because we don't have a lot. And picking the flowers will oftentimes stimulate the plant to produce more flowers. See, this one would be, it's not going to be as flavorful as the other ones, but we're going to take it anyway. Like I said, it'll stimulate more growth, and we just have a couple anyway. A couple videos ago, I showed you this ceiling fan that I put in the porch. The thing I liked about the ceiling fan was that it was movable or portable. I currently just have it attached to an eye bolt, and what I originally had bought it for was in the cabin for in the wintertime to blow the hot air down from the ceiling from the wood stove. So I thought, well, if it's portable, I could always put it in the patio in the summertime and have kind of a cool breeze when I'm sitting in here as well. So the pros and the cons of the fan. Well, first off, I think I bought the fan at Menards, and it was probably, I honestly don't remember what I paid for it. It was several months ago. I would say somewhere between $50 and $75. It was on the cheaper side for ceiling fans. That's all I know. So my two concerns were if I put it in the cabin, that it would mess with my hanging lights. So now that I have it hooked up, you can see that it doesn't swing at all. It's actually really steady for just being on an eye bolt and a hook. And it really doesn't put a lot of like lateral wind out. It's more straight down, which might be pretty nice. My second concern was, how much electricity is this going to take? So currently I have it hooked up to my Blue Eddy because we're outside. And I don't know if you can see the screen, but the Blue Eddy is at 69%. And you can see right here that we are only drawing 35 watts to have that running. And right now it's on medium speed, but this thing has been running for probably 15 minutes and it hasn't changed off of that 69%. So let's see what kind of, I wish this had a remote because the pull cords are a little short. I have to stand on the chair to adjust it. That might be, that's slower. Okay, so that must be low. Okay, there's high. You can't really see in the camera because, like a propeller, you can't see how fast it's going. It looks like it's going really slow, but trust me, it's going so fast you can see right through the propellers into the ceiling. So I'm going to let this run for about 20 minutes and we're going to see what sort of battery consumption this takes. And granted, I wouldn't always use the Blue Eddy, but in the wintertime when I'm trying to get the heat down from the ceiling of the cabin, electricity use is a factor because with the solar, you get a lot of gloomy days, as well as in Minnesota, you can have some pretty short days where it's dark at 4 o'clock, you know, in December. So electricity usage is definitely a concern. But so far, I'm like pretty happily excited about this. So the downside about having it in the patio here is I am getting a breeze, which is nice, but for the first 10-15 minutes I had it going, it was, if you look at the thermometer, granted it's not that, it's probably 90 air temperature right now, but of course it's way warmer at the peak of the roof, and the roof is brown steel, so that absorbs heat as well. So definitely it is warmer up at the ceiling than it is right here. So the bad thing is the first 10 minutes I had this running, it was blowing like 105-degree air down on me. And until it kind of evacuates that hot, stale air up at the ceiling, like right now it actually is starting to feel not cool, but not hot either. And a little bit of breeze is better than no breeze. 68%. So we've lost 1% on a 2,000 watt battery bank. I started at 69, so. I've been using the toaster for the past few days, and that's been drawing a couple of percentages every time I use the toaster. All right, stay tuned. I'll check in 15-20 minutes. All right, well, 20 minutes is up. We're still at 68% on the Blue Eddy, which is a 2,000 watt-hour electric generator, and we are just, the wattage is just so minimal that it's not even giving me a wattage, which is probably under 10-ish. Nice, very nice. So very low draw, super efficient. I'm happy. Well, all, it was a interesting past week, that's for sure. We'll see you in the morning. Goodbye, tiny cabin. We will see you very soon.